Can a progressive knock out the biggest hawk in the Democratic Party, the one most beholden to the defense contractors? Well, we're going to find out. Joining us now is Stephanie Gallardo. She's running against Adam Smith in Washington's 9th District. Adam Smith is the aforementioned hawk who takes tons of money from the defense industry and funnels way more of our money to them. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
No problem. So last we checked in with Adam Smith, Sarah Smith was running against him. She was one of the original Justice Democrats. That was back in 2018. And she made it into the final two. So that means it was two Democrats in the general election. That was a very exciting primary. And back then we talked about how Adam Smith had taken a ton of money from defense contractors. Why is that, Stephanie? Why does he care so much about that particular industry?
Well, I mean, he is the chair of the House Armed Services Committee, and I think the first thing that is in his mind is, contributing to his corporate donors rather than to the community. So I think that's the first and foremost reason that he, has a opportunity to enrich the lives of other people and is choosing to do that for rich folks, for billionaires, for military contractors, rather than the people of the 9th Congressional District.
Yeah, so Mo Brooks, a Republican, extreme right-wing Republican, but was honest the other day on the campaign trail. He's a congressman, but he's now running for Senate in Alabama. And he said in order to be a committee chair in Washington, you basically have to get about $1 million and donate to the party. And the only people you're gonna get the $1 million from are the people that you're regulating in that committee. Adam Smith is a poster child for that. And of course, all of Democratic leadership cheers his corruption on. Stephanie, so the establishment will certainly be against you. He's an incumbent. Clyburn incoming in 3, 2, 1. I'm kidding about Clyburn, but he supports almost every corrupt Democrat, so that's why I brought him up. Anyways, so what's your plan of attack here? How do you plan to win the primary?
Yeah, well, I think the plan to win the primary is really based in my perspective and lens as an educator. The reason I decided to run for this position was because I was tired of having to pay for my own school supplies. I was tired of telling students that there weren't enough counselors for them to go see when they're experiencing suicidal ideation or trauma in their lives. And so young people are really our plan to win. I have deep connections all across the district with young people. They're excited about this campaign. And of course, they're very much overlooked by the Democratic Party. And so I think that's why young people are finding a lot of hope and inspiration in this campaign, because we're putting Gen Z at the center in everything that we do.
So I'm curious about the state of the Democratic Party in the state of Washington, okay? Because in Oregon, progressives took over the party and it made a giant difference and allowed Jamie McLeod-Skinner to knock off Kurt Schrader, another corrupt incumbent Democrat. Without that kind of grassroots, usually the media will just say the progressive is not credible. They'll just announce it, right? And they'll say, oh, the front runner is taking so much money, so many bribes. That makes him wonderful. That makes it's legalized bribes, to be clear. But I don't know how it is in Washington. So what's the state of the Democratic Party there?
Well, it's been a very interesting experience. I have certainly voted Democratic in, every election that I voted in throughout my entire life, but I never had any experience with the Democratic Party because they never came to my neighborhood. They never, reached out to my community. And so there was never that true connection. And so, when I started this campaign, I of course reached out to the folks that I knew who were influential and who I thought were doing great things within the Democratic Party here in Washington State. And I've really come to find out that the Democratic Party here is very similar to the Democratic Party nationally speaking, and they are trying to undermine my candidacy at every turn. And of course, it's to be expected, right? We have a 24-year incumbent, corporate backed, does have a lot of sway in Congress, but is also somebody who can fly under the radar and get away with everything that he's getting away with, because he will vote progressive on domestic policies, but he will vote extremely conservative and in fact pro-war on foreign policy.
Of course. Okay, so that sounds like the same story from across the country, minus Oregon and Vermont. and a little bit of Nevada. So that was a little bit more of a mixed bag. But okay, you're running an interesting campaign though, Stephanie. You've got the standard progressive issues like Medicare for all, et cetera, although some mistakenly run away from that, but you're not. You're true blue in that sense. But you also are emphasizing workers' rights more than I see other candidates doing that. So tell me about that. Why'd you decide to emphasize that?
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, I come from a family of Chilean socialists. We were forced to come here after the coup in Chile. And so I always had an understanding of socialism and capitalism and what that means in practice in everyday life. And so, capitalism to me is the root of all evil in our country. And so my focus on workers' rights, on the power of the worker, on the power of the working class, comes from my own experience being empowered as a worker and as a union leader within the Washington Education Association and National Education Association. But at the end of the day, I want to fight for workers because we all know that this capitalist society that we are, functioning within right now or barely functioning in is not going to work long term. And we have to come up with solutions that are worker focused, worker centered, and worker led.
Yeah. So, I would put in the word corporatism for capitalism there and then agree. But, and obviously everybody's got a different shade of progressivism. And so, but I love that you're focusing on corporate power. You don't often see that in the Democratic Party. In fact, unfortunately, you often see it in reverse, where they're like, corporate power, where is it? I'm looking forward to it, right? But you're challenging it in many different ways, including corporate contributions to politicians. Do you think that's the root of all the other problems that we're seeing in the country?
Do you mean corporate money in politics?
Corporate money in politics and corporate power overall, including in the media, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a fact. Corporate influence, as you said, is the root of all evil. And in my own experience in this particular campaign, I am a teacher, right? I am a degular teacher. And so when I started to think about running for Congress, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And now, when I'm looking in retrospect at how difficult it has been for a working class teacher, union leader, Latina to run for Congress, it shouldn't be this difficult. And the reason it is difficult is because my opponent and many opponents all across the country have millions in the bank from corporate PACs and millions in the bank from millionaire donors, billionaire donors, or whoever it may be. And it is a seriously corrupting influence. And anybody that says in the year 2022 that corporate money in politics is not an issue, they are disingenuous and they should be voted out.
Well, again, it's not just them. I'm going to get to the media in a second, but I don't want people to be confused. Stephanie doesn't have to beat Adam Smith in the primary. She just has to beat the Republicans. So then it'll be her versus Adam Smith in the general election. So in that district, that is very doable. As we told you earlier, Sarah Smith did it a couple of years back. So it's electgallardo.com. Electgallardo.com is the website. So Stephanie, I want to talk about the media a little bit there too, because corporate media, which is basically all of mainstream media, paints politics as a battle of ideas. You have ideas, Adam Smith has ideas, you guys go into an even playing field. And then if he wins, for example, that means apparently the people in that district thought he had better ideas than you. Has that been your experience in politics so far?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I will share with you an experience. So just about this time last year, I rightfully earned a union endorsement here in the district. 20 minutes after I announced this endorsement online, the political director of that particular union called me directly and said that Adam Smith called her and, essentially berated her, told her, what the heck are you doing, endorsing somebody else besides me? I'm so good for labor. I'm so this and that. And the result of that was I had my endorsement taken away from me because of the pressure and power that Adam Smith unjustly wielded. And so to say that the playing field is even is just absolutely outrageous. And to finish off this story, I actually did meet with Representative Smith in person several months ago, and I asked him directly what happened with that situation. And what he told me was, if you think that coming into politics at this particular time, when I have been in this field for 24 years, if you think that you have the same amount of power as I do after 24 years, you're wrong. And so I think that really encapsulates the power that he has, and he knows he has.
Yeah, so look, there's a great irony there. I faced it, other progressives have faced it. Your campaign is around building worker power and a union power. You were in a union, but unions are often pressured to support the most corporate candidate, the most conservative candidate among the Democrats. So in a situation like yours, how do you deal with that?
It's been difficult, to be quite frank with you. I have been taking a lot of hits from every single angle, but I feel really proud that the community that we've been able to develop through this campaign has only grown since it started over a year ago. And I have learned so much on this campaign trail. And I think that as long as I'm sticking close to my values, and remaining true and fighting back at every angle possible, I think that I'm going to do okay in this election, and I'm going to do better than okay. In fact, I am going to come into the general election in November.
All right, I like that fighting attitude. Of course, the Democratic Party and the media won't, but oftentimes the voters do. That's why we have elections, and that's why progressives keep pulling off miracle after miracle. In this case, she doesn't need a miracle. She just needs to get past the Republicans in a very blue district. ElectGallardo.com. Stephanie Gallardo, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time.
No problem. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.